The title is controversial, as you can see. I'm going to qualify, and the Muslims will be angry. I'm not claiming Muslims intentionally worship Baal, a false deity. Baal. If you are familiar with the Old Testament, you will see that the false god Baal was the primary rival for the Israelites' worship and loyalty. Baal. Because of his people's repeated use of the false god Baal, God chastened, rebuked, punished, and even exiled them throughout the Old Testament. That covers the entire Old Testament. Additionally, the name Bil appears in the New Testament as Beelzebub. If you read Mark 3:22-30, you will see that the Jews accused Jesus of casting out devils through the demon prince Beelzebub. Either Beelzebub, Beelzebul, or Beelzebub. Baal-zebub is the word for that. Zebul translates to Lord of the House or Lord of the Flies. Baal is actually just Satan's masquerade. This is because, according to what the Jews declared in Mark 3, Satan is the prince of demons, not Beelzebub. In this case, Baal is just another term for Satan if the Jews are correct and Jesus didn't correct them, considering that Satan is the sole demon ruler. The kingdom of darkness is ruled by him. He has authority over all demonic demons. If that is the case, then if I prove tonight, both from Muslim and non-Muslim sources, that Allah is just another name for Baal and that Islam is just another kind of Baal worship, then that proves even more that Islam is the devil's religion. It is Satan's religion, which he propagated via Muhammad as a rival to Christianity and Judaism. And it would make sense, wouldn't it? Because Baal was Yahweh's main rival throughout the history of the Old Testament. As to this writing, Islam is the main rival. You see the significance of it. The three facts I wish to prove are as follows. Either facts that are directly stated by the sources or facts that are inferred from their statements. All right, these three facts cover all of my articles. First of all, Hubal was the primary god and divinity of Mecca and the Kaaba shrine. The first fact is that. The second fact is that Hubal was truly Baal. Baal's Arabic name was indeed Hubal, as the Muslim sources can attest. The second fact is that. The third fact is not explicitly stated by the sources. However, that is the necessary logical inference. Allah was Hubal, and Hubal was Allah. If you truly read between the lines, you will discover that Allah was Hubal and that Hubal was Allah. Are you prepared to get started now? All right, all set. Be sure to save the URLs after clicking on them to access the articles. I would like to share with you some background information about the pagan religion in Mecca. Muhammad was born in Mecca, according to Muslim sources. He was a member of the Quraysh tribe, and Muslim traditions claim that the Meccans practiced astral worship. Before and during Muhammad's lifetime, the Arabs practiced astral worship, worshiping the sun, moon, and 5 planets because they believed there were only 5. The moon was the female deity, while the sun was the masculine deity in many cultures. No, not in Arabia. The sun represented the consortium, the moon's wife, while the moon represented the male deity. Let me simply read what Abdullah Yusuf Ali has to say, if I'm not confusing you. I am unable to read it all. In the 20th century, this Muslim's translation of the Quran was extensively disseminated. It should be noted that God associated each of the 5 planets, the sun and the moon, with a living deity, each of whom had unique attributes. Did you hear him just now? The sun, moon, and 5 planets are revered by the Arabs at Mecca as 7 goddesses. In a moment, you will grasp the significance, so let me read the remainder now. I'll skip ahead and get to the important portion. He goes on to say that the Arabic term for the moon, qamar, is masculine. This is in contrast to the Arabic term for the sun, shams, which is feminine. It is certain that the sun and moon were considered goddesses and gods, respectively, by the pagan Arabs. Indeed, the Arabs in Mecca believed that the sun was the feminine deity and the moon was the male deity. Yes, that will be significant. Okay, so since the moon is the planet connected to the pantheon's primary deity, it is the masculine deity. Along with numerous other gods and goddesses, the primary deity is revered by air pagans. The primary deity is a man. The moon is hence masculine. Currently, it is connected to the major masculine deity. But wait, Allah is meant to be the primary deity. In other words, you have just demonstrated that Allah was the moon god to the pagan people. Oh my God. Do you want me to go? Furthermore, according to the sources I will cite, Hubal was both the moon god and the main god. Furthermore, the idol Baal is actually Hubal. Furthermore, I will not show it to you. Let's get started. All right. This is taken from page 137 of Gods, Goddesses, and Mythology, Volume 11. The main god of the Kaaba, Hubal, is an auricular and warrior deity, god of the moon. What was Hubal? God Amun. Oh my God. Do you see it? All right, let's read one more. Muhammad demolished the idol of a pre-Islamic divinity at the Kaaba when he overran Mecca in 630. Qurayshite patron. Recall that the Quraysh tribe is Muhammad's tribe. Who then was the Quraysh's principal deity? Hubal. Muhammad was born into which tribe? Born into? Originated in Quraysh. Who then was the primary deity of Muhammad's family, tribe, and tribe? Hubal. Who is Hubal? Baal. Muhammad was born in the worship of the Baal. Let me continue reading. The article doesn't mention it. Cyril Glass is the source of this. The New Encyclopedia of Islam is the source of this information. Centuries before Islam, the moon god, Hubal, was an idol. Take note of this name. The idol was carried to Mecca from Syria by Amir ibn Luhai, a leader of the Jurhum tribe who lived there before the arrival of the Quraysh tribe, centuries before Islam. Whoa. We'll go over that again, but let me finish first. It became the main idol of the pagan Meccans after being erected in the Kaaba. People. You realize what we just read implies. Hubal was a Syrian idol. Baal was the most revered god among the pagan people in Syria. Baal. Before the time of Muhammad, the Syrians worshipped a god called Baal. What was this Arab emir bringing to the Kaaba if he had carried the idol from Syria? Baal's idol. Baal. The reason it is called Hubal is because he imported the idol Baal from Syria. Observe how Hubal rose to prominence as the principal deity of the Kaaba in Mecca. Thus you comprehend what the sources just acknowledge. The moon's god is called Hubal. He is the god of the moon. The god of Mecca and the Kaaba was called Hubal. Hubal, the chief god, was a Syrian idol. The sources openly acknowledge these three truths. So let's dissect it immediately. If the main deity worshipped in Syria's Baal is Hubal, who is from Syria, we recently established Baal is Hubal. Baal. This indicates that Baal was the primary deity of the Kaaba and Mecca. At that point, Baal was perceived as the moon god. The moon's god. Do you want me to go? Here's another. Jurhum's guilt was thus shared. In other ways, they are likewise at fault. Here's what's lovely now. A chieftain of theirs asked the Moabites this question while returning from a trip to Syria. The Moabites gave him one of their idols. Oh my God. They gave him Hubal, which he returned to the sanctuary and placed inside the Kaaba, where it became Mecca's most revered object. The idol was given to him by whom? The Moabites. The Moabites are who? According to the Old Testament, the Moabites of Syria, who are Lot's descendants, worship Baal. This is an admission from a Muslim. Oh my God, are you catching it? Let's look at some further sources. John Molson Arnold is the source of this. Take note of what he says. The identity of Hubal is still unknown. The testimony of the Arab authorities supports the belief that it is equivalent to the Babylonian and Syrian Baal or Bel. Oh my God. Is this blowing you guys away? You're reading it for yourself, people. What more proof is there that the Arabs were pagans who worshipped their Baals? Their primary deity, the god of the Kaaba, was Baal. The Muslims tell me, however, that the Kaaba was constructed for Allah. Hold on. If the Kaaba is the shrine of Baal, and the Kaaba is the shrine of Allah, and since the shrines cannot have more than one god, then Baal is Allah's Baal. I'll say it again. This is the genius of Satan. Through Muhammad, he distanced Allah from Hubal. In order to trick people into believing that Allah is the God of Abraham, rather than only the name Baal, the connection with Hubal was severed. Because in order to trick 1.7 billion people into believing they are worshipping Baal under the pretense of Islam, Satan used Muhammad as his prophet to distance Hubal from Allah and make it appear that they are not the same. That is the genius of Satan, because he would still refer to them as Hubal. Wait a moment. The Moabites' idol, Baal, was transported from Syria and Jordan and was known as Hubal. Are you referring to Satan's other name, Allah's Baal, the rival to Jehovah and the false god? The mastermind is seen. You witness Satan's genius as he raises up Muhammad, his son, the son of Satan, who is now crushed beneath Jesus' feet.